Hey everyone, with it now being March, chances are if you haven't yet heard back from some of the companies that you've applied for internships with, you're most likely not going to get that internship. If this is the case for you, fear not. I know totally how it feels to be at the end of the semester and realizing, shoot, I don't yet have an internship. This is exactly the experience that I went through back in 2020 when I was finishing up my sophomore year at the University of Florida. I had really only decided to get serious about looking for internships and honestly what I wanted to do with my career near the end of the semester. So I found myself in a tough position where I didn't have anything already lined up, but I knew that I wanted to do something related to finance that I could have on my resume that summer. To make matters worse, this was also summer 2020, which if you remember correctly, is when the world was pretty much shut down due to COVID. A lot of internship programs had been canceled. Firms across the country were figuring out how to navigate remote work. Overall, it was just a very hectic time. But despite this, I was still able to actually land an internship at a local hedge fund in my hometown through a cold email. So in today's video, I'm going to show you that email that I sent because I really do feel that this is an untapped strategy that not enough students use these days. And I will preface this that every city is different, every person is different, but I think generally this approach can work or at least get you one step closer to where you want to be. I think too often when applying for internships, we think it's enough to just send the application into the corporate website. But realistically, that doesn't really do much. And as I prefaced at the beginning of this video, if you're still waiting to hear back about an internship for this summer, you're probably not going to. So these would be companies that are smaller in size, smaller in structure. Maybe they don't have a dedicated HR program or a very strict kind of hiring process for their internship program. So this wouldn't work at Goldman Sachs or Amazon, but it very well might work for that successful private equity firm down the road. The world of business, especially finance, is all about relationships and the ability to put yourself out there. And I think this approach certainly helps develop that skill. So definitely make sure to stick around for the entire video so you can see the entire message that I've sent to get this internship. And if this is your first time on the channel, then hey, my name is Cameron. I am a finance professional here in New York City. I make tons of content all about Wall Street, life in New York City, and how you can accomplish your dreams. So if you don't want to miss any of those videos, definitely subscribe to my channel. And with that said, let's get into this email. All right, here is the email that I sent. When you're looking for smaller firms to get an internship at, they typically actually have the CEO or the founder or the portfolio manager's email on the website. Obviously, if you're trying to apply for JP Morgan, you're not going to be able to find Jamie Dimon's email. But for these smaller firms, it certainly is available. And that's how I found this. That's how I found all the emails that I sent during this time. It's not like I had other connections to these places. I was able to just find them through the internet. And if I couldn't find them, then maybe I'd reach out on LinkedIn, but chances are I would just move on to the next. So that is what comes first. You obviously need the email address before sending an email, but that's how I found this. So with that said, let's get into it. Started it out very formally, Dear XYZ. First of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to read my email. I'm sure you're very busy, so I'll try to keep it somewhat short. So right from the jump, I'm formal, but still conversational, and also show that I have respect for their time. My name is Cameron Galbraith, and I just finished my sophomore year as a finance major at the University of Florida. Due to COVID-19, I am home in Naples for the summer and looking for a finance-focused internship opportunity. So right there, it shows the purpose of the email. It shows what I am looking for. I'm not waiting until the end of the email to include it. I'm very intentional from the beginning. As an intern, I desire to gain valuable field experience as well as build my network here in Naples. I'm flexible with both job responsibilities and compensation as I am looking for an opportunity to gain industry knowledge as well as a firsthand look at what it takes to make it in the world of finance. So this part is important because this shows that I am just willing to do whatever it takes in order to get an internship. Also, if you read between the lines, I'm saying I don't need to be paid. If I'm flexible with compensation, that indicates that I don't need to be paid. But the way I kind of formatted the sentence leaves the door open to if there was some compensation, I wouldn't be upset. But realistically, at these stages, it's so important to just be willing to do anything. And I think when you're willing to work for free early on in your career, as long as it allows you to use it as a stepping stone, it will result in a much higher paying role, internship, career, whatever it may be, down the road compared to, let's say, working part-time at minimum wage, bussing tables, just because you want that to fill your time. It is okay to work for free. I, of course, am aware that certain people don't have that luxury, but if you are given that opportunity, jump on it. Moving back to the email, I was drawn to Pelican Bay Cap because I was intrigued by the selection of the 3 portfolios that you offer. I admire the fact that you understand that different investors have different needs and varying levels of risk tolerance. I also value your core beliefs and the strategy that you use to implement your investment philosophy. So this company, they had the 3 different funds. I obviously did my research, and I think that's important to show that it's not just a copy and paste effort that you're sending to every single person that you get their email address. This shows that I put a little bit extra work into crafting this email, making it more specific to this opportunity. So this is definitely kind of the bare minimum for what you should do. I have excelled in the business courses I've taken so far at UF, including but not limited to both financial and managerial accounting, statistics for business decisions, information systems, micro and macroeconomics, as well as principles of management. So this part is important because, especially when reaching out as a sophomore or even a junior at times, it's important to show the actual technical skills that you have. Depending on the school, certain schools don't really teach finance courses until junior year, but other schools may start them freshman year. So by including this, it just shows kind of the actual experience that I do have. I've also spent the previous 2 summers interning for my father at his estate planning law firm. My administrative responsibilities at the firm have increased through the years, and it has been a valuable experience to learn how to successfully run a client-focused business. At the law firm, I was responsible for streamlining the firm's files, researching and preparing presentations on legislative changes, creating diagrams and analysis on client data, as well as many other administrative tasks. In my spare time, I enjoy learning about personal finance and investing, and although my portfolio isn't very large, I still manage it very seriously. So this part, of course, shows that I do at least have prior internship experience, which is valuable for someone to know. That at least shows that you've been in a work environment before, you understand, hopefully how to manage responsibilities, how to present yourself to others. And I think that was just a helpful thing, even if the responsibilities that I had weren't the most insane or weren't the most applicable to this role. It still shows that I have them. And at the end, this does show that I am interested and passionate about investing. It shows that I'm not just looking for an internship for internship's sake. It is actually something that I care about. So going back to the letter, at the University of Florida, I have consistently remained in the top 10% of my class. I have numerous leadership roles throughout campus, and this spring I was nominated and confirmed as Executive Secretary of Finance and Fees for the student government. Please let me know if you have any internship opportunities available for this summer. I am happy to forward you my resume if you would like additional information. So again, I reiterate what I was kind of saying at the beginning. Please let me know if you have any internship opportunities available. Realistically, I don't like that I didn't include my resume. I think if I were to do this again, I certainly would include my resume just to remove some of that friction. And of course, it's just a more succinct way to kind of house all of this information. Thank you for taking the time to read this email, and I hope that it has found you well during these testing times in our nation's history. Even if you are not currently looking for any interns, I would still be interested in scheduling a call to learn more about the industry and your experiences. Sincerely, Cameron Galbraith. So this last part, I think, is the most important part in the entire email. I write that even if you don't have anything to offer me, even if you don't have an internship available, I would still be interested in speaking with you. And that is so important because A, it kind of makes them feel a little bit more obligated to at least respond. And B, you never know where that one conversation can lead. And this is the perfect example of that. When I sent this email to the portfolio manager, he got back to me and said, Cameron, this was a great email, but I don't have an internship program. I've never even had an intern, but I am part of the CFA Society. I'm willing to help you try to find an internship, see if anyone in my network has any opportunity. And that was so helpful. From there, we hopped on the phone. I spoke about more of my background. He also was able to see that I'm a real person, that I am as advertised, I guess I can say. And he agreed to help me. From there, he introduced me to a lot of people in his network, people at other investment firms in town. And unfortunately, they too didn't have internship programs. But nonetheless, it still provided the opportunity for me to meet and network with really the movers and shakers of my town when it comes to investment management, which proved to be extremely helpful. So at the end of this process, after not being able to find an internship, this portfolio manager offered me an internship at his firm. I ended up being the first intern he had ever had. And since that time, he has had interns every summer. That just shows the power of reaching out. It also shows the power of just showing interest in speaking. There were plenty of other people that I reached out to who also didn't have internship programs, but were still willing to hop on the phone with me, talk about their experience, and share a little bit more about what they do. At this time, that was so helpful for me because I honestly didn't know too much about the financial services industry. I, of course, knew the buzzwords, but to actually learn from people who were at the top of their fields was super fascinating. It also built those relationships for the long run. As a sophomore, most companies don't have a sophomore summer internship. So a lot of conversations I had revolved around what they look for interns for the following year. And it gave me a great opportunity to leverage that relationship if I was interested in applying the following year. So that's why I think it is so vital to include the fact that even if you're not currently looking for any interns, I would still be interested in scheduling a call. You really never know where one conversation is going to lead, where one introduction will take you. And this is a perfect example of that. Of course, there's no way to tell, but if I didn't have this internship, it most likely would have led to me getting a different internship the following year and then a different job. And I most likely wouldn't be sitting here working on Wall Street in New York City at the largest and most powerful bank in the world. So I hope that shows just the effect that sending a cold email like this can do. It's one of those things where it just allows you to separate yourself from the pack. Someone else may reach out on LinkedIn with a quick, hey, do you have any internship programs? That's not that impressive. If you can get an email like this, you want to help that person. And I think my situation was a good example of that. If I have any critiques for this, looking back at it now, I think I would have, like I said, included my resume, but also included a hyperlink to my LinkedIn. And that's why it is important to have a really developed and professional LinkedIn, which I, of course, have made some other videos about. But I think that's what I would have done. Honestly, would have included the LinkedIn, would have included the resume. But other than that, I wouldn't have made many changes. I think this is great. It's very clear as to what my ask is. I think a lot of the times, and even I experience this now, getting messages from students, I can tell they want to talk to me to get a referral, but they kind of just go around the point and never even ask for anything specifically. And I kind of have to say, oh yeah, happy to hop on a call. I think it's really important to show what your intentions are. And I think I learned it in some business writing class in school. I showed it right at the beginning and placed it at the end as well, just to make it extremely clear what I was looking for. All right, so that was the very email that I sent that started my entire finance career. I really do think this is a great approach when you're at the stage when realistically you're not going to hear back from some of those larger structured corporate internship programs, but you're willing to do whatever it takes to land an internship. And honestly, even if you go through this process and you don't end up with an internship, if you follow the steps that I laid out and you mention that you're open to just phone calls, you're going to finish this process having a huge network and also plenty of experience kind of talking about yourself, giving your elevator pitch, and ultimately feel a little bit more confident in front of an industry professional, which goes a long way when you're given the opportunity to interview for an internship later on. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got some value out of it. As always, if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at Galbraith. Also connect with me on LinkedIn. Shoot me a message on there if there's anything I can do for you. And also subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of the content that is coming your way. I will see you in the next one. Peace.